come home. All right, we're still studying the prayers of the Bible. We're in the Old Testament, and we're looking at Numbers chapter 12. Numbers chapter 12. We'll begin with prayer, please. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this beautiful day. Every day that you bless us, we're thankful for it, for our health, and we're thankful for the opportunity that we can assemble and that these good souls have chosen to come and study your word. Be with each of us as we look into the Bible, and that we can gain something. It'll give us encouragement. It'll give us faith to continue on. The examples that we study by those that have paved that way long ago. Be with us through this hour in Christ's name. Amen. Okay. Numbers chapter 12. Who's the people and what was the occasion? Moses. And who? Miriam. All right. Moses' sister. Yeah. All right. That's what we'll get into. So, Miriam has leprosy, right? Do you think it's connected with how they started out in verse 1? The Lord? I don't know. Might be. Sometimes things happen when you don't do right. But anyway, we'll get there. Chapter 12, Numbers, verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married the Ethiopian woman. What was her name? Zipporah. All right. Zipporah. Yeah. All right. Zipporah. Okay. So Miriam and Aaron decide to, what would we call it, plot against Moses? Yeah. Kind of turned against him. They do. They have ketuffles and they don't get along. But the Lord sees and knows what's going on, doesn't he? Now, Moses and the Lord, couldn't we say we're pretty close? Yeah. Yeah, they forgot the main the main one in that, okay? And so, but what else does it say? That he knew what they were doing, didn't he? The Lord does. Huh? Does he know what's happening today? Yeah, sure does. Okay. And he knew all along the way with all of these what was going on and what they were doing, the children of Israel and the problem children that they had among them. And he knew all about it. Verse 2. And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. They were trying to elevate themselves, were they not? Yeah. Huh.
Were they distraught because they didn't like who Moses married?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Either wife was not a Canaanite.
No.
Right.
And so that was the beginning of it. And so, hath he not spoken also by us? That statement is interesting, isn't it? Now, Aaron was the spokesman for Moses, wasn't he? In the case, yes, he was. Okay. And I really like verse 3. We're in Numbers 12. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. Did you read that? What does it mean to be meek? But when it says that he characterized him as that over all the world, he was setting example. And we go over into, where is it? Hebrews chapter 11. And by faith, Moses is mentioned there, isn't he? Of the decisions and the things going. And he, like others, was not perfect, was he? And so, but God chose him to lead his people. And of course, remember, Aaron was the spokesman for him. He tried to talk his way out of it, didn't he? But that didn't. The Lord had a plan for it. The Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come ye three to the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. Do you think they were a little bit scared? Wondered, huh? Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of like back in Genesis when the Lord came to the garden and asked Adam, where are you? Remember? He knew he was, and he knew they were hiding, and he knew what they had done. They'd partake of the fruit that they were told not to. So they went and hid. Well, if it was okay, why'd you go hide? Do you think about that? But anyway, they did. So God said, where art thou, Adam? All right, so you three come with me. All right, come to the tabernacle. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision and will speak unto him in a dream. That's how he communicated with the prophets, wasn't it? We know by in past examples and those that were. But now what does he say? My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. Who else did we study just a few lessons back that said, God basically said, I can depend on him because he will teach his household. He will have, what was it? Respect. He will do righteous things. Who was that? Is Abraham, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. And so he says here, Moses, and I kept reading this and going over it. He says, there's not a prophet among you. And then he says, my servant Moses not so, who is faithful. But then verse 8 answers it, doesn't it? With him, who is that? Moses. Will I speak mouth to mouth? And he goes ahead and he won't use any thing. He'll just be straight up with him, won't he? We would say.
What it's even been in Tom's sermon lately. Abraham wasn't allowed to see only the backside of God.
Moses.
My bad.
Yeah.
But now they're saying face to face in this. God is, right?
Well, speak mouth to mouth.
You know, it was in a cloud, but it wasn't his
It
voice.
wasn't
His person's glory. In other words, not the revealing of his face,
No.
such as being able to see it like we would do that, or even as Peter, James, and John would see the glory of Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration. So he's not going to be able to do it in that fashion, but he does come down in the form of this cloud, and he has in through this, it's just like speaking to them.
Yeah.
Face
face
to
to
face.
face. Yeah. Hear this. Yeah. You will know who I am.
This is not a figment of your imagination.
No.
This is not a fixation of mine or anything. It is being called.
All right. Anything else? Verse 8. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. He explained what happened. He knew what happened, and he departed, didn't he? And then it says the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, because that's where he appeared, remember, when he came in. All right. And behold, Miriam became leprous. And that's when I was wondering, is this a result of your disobeying me or going against me? Could it be? Or am I trying to read something in this that's not there? Why did Miriam get the leprosy right after this cloud that it lives? Seems to me this is a consequence of your doing.
But the Lord does a number of things like this on occasion to make a point that in case you have some doubt about my choices, and evidently that you had Aaron and Miriam, and also you had cousins, you had Korah. Remember, all this stuff was coming on, what he was trying to take. You know, you usually let us have some of the charge in dealing with this, but it didn't cost them big time. So you don't have too many that are going to make those kinds of choices when he uses examples like this. I'll just make a test out of this situation. Everybody can understand. You've got any doubt about who I've chosen to be the prophet, and he just looked at Mary.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there's a lot of occasions like that.
What's one do you think over in the New Testament that got the people's attention? Ananias and Sapphira. Huh? That was an example of you don't lie. Yep. And they had conspired together again, and that was not good. Okay.
And I understand it, like Tom said, leprosy was used a lot of times by the Lord, to God, to correct those in the Old Testament that rejected what did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of the few that was healed as well.
Yes. It was death in most cases, wasn't it? Yeah. It's a bad thing. But who else received cleansing from his leprosy? Naaman. Okay.
Miriam was struck, not Aaron. It's probably because she was the ringleader. You know, she's
Okay.
jealous of this other woman over there.
Of Zipporah. Yeah.
Just for, you know, like he struck Miriam. But God knew their hearts,
Sure.
and she was probably the ringleader.
Okay. Makes sense. Could have been. All right. A little bit of jealousy there, or a little bit of envy or something.
And also the fact that Aaron was the high priest. So there was the matter of him being one would have to proclaim her leprosy and then be proclaimed to be clean. So there's the involvement there.
Okay.
The other, I just brought up Korah. That's another interesting situation with all of this, because Korah's circumstance took place later. But this, it's like, what an idiot. You know, after this
Did you not?
occurred here, what is it about the situation with Miriam that you learned? You know, and it ended up costing thousands.
Yes.
Because of his effort to try to take it.
Yeah.
Or at least see some of the control.
Well, and what does that tell you? When God sets a plan, don't mess with it. Okay. Now these are examples of people that it did, and there was consequences. But is that not the case today too? He knows what's going on. Now he's not going to come down and you're going to get leprosy. I'm not saying that. Don't go there. But he does know what's going on. And if one doesn't correct it, if it's against his will and against his plan, then there will be consequences for it. Okay. Even for us today.
The situation with Korah seems like a situation like it. He could have, of course, taken Miriam and made an example. But, you know, I'm giving you a chance here to learn from this. But when Korah did it, you know, you're talking about, it's still hard to get over that fact that, I mean, there's thousands of people that died because of that very foolish.
And they knew that Miriam had leprosy. It wasn't like, I mean, that's
It's not generations ago.
no. This, yeah. And you don't associate with others when you have leprosy. It's like this COVID thing, really. I mean, you got to quarantine. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. And so, okay, she became, all right, what about leprosy? What else do you know about it? Other than it being deadly and yeah. There was colonies of them right here. They put them out of town, or if you had it, you unclean and yeah. Okay. Shut out. Okay. Okay. And verse 11, and Aaron said to Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us. See, they're good. Wherein we have done foolishly and wherein we have sinned. What does it mean to beseech? Beg, plead, implore, yeah. Seriously, it's serious, isn't it? Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb. Remember when he says one dead, that's what it meant, wasn't it? When you got leprosy.
You know, this had to be a difficult thing.
For
Forever.
yes.
Older brother, married, of course, his older sister. And being even in the position he was as being as a high priest, but coming to Moses and referring to him as his master. My Lord, that had to be a difficult thing. But the difficulty is necessity, and he understands that from a couple of standpoints. But one, look, brother, this is our sister. You know, so call on the Lord to have some mercy for our sister. It's playing a little bit of the emotion right there, which is typical. And I think one could understand that, and I would imagine that even Moses would have thought about that matter anyway before Aaron even approached him.
But notice the attitude of Aaron. We have sinned. Yeah.
Foolishly.
Yeah. Yes. This was not thought through very well, was it? We've sinned. And verse 13, and Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, heal her now, O God, I beseech thee. Again, what was he doing? He was pleading, wasn't he? And so that was the prayer for Miriam to be healed. And you go on, and I think she was out of the camp 7 days, and then came back, and she was brought back then again in verse 15. Okay, anything else? So again, we see prayers of these people beseeching, imploring, begging. They were earnest, wasn't they? Sincere. This is really important. And then the Lord could tell, couldn't he? He understood. He knew it wasn't a put on. Okay. Chapter 14 of Numbers. Who's involved here? Whole bunch, huh? All right. But who's doing the prayer? That's what? Moses. Okay. Yeah. It involves other people, but when we look at these, and that's what our studying, the prayers that's involved, and who's offering the prayers. Let's look at verse 1. I need somebody to help to do a little reading. We're going to look.
So all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night.
Go ahead, verse 2.
And all the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron. And the whole congregation said to them, if only we had died in the land of Egypt, or if only we had died in this wilderness.
Okay. What's the one word that you get out of that about the people? What were they doing? Constantly. Murmuring and complaining, wasn't Yeah. And the Lord had seen this too, hadn't he? He knew what was going on with them. Remember back the last study we had, they had complained about the meat. Well, they got enough of it, didn't they? Yeah. Coming out their ears, and yeah, they had plenty of it. Sometimes you better be careful what you wish for. You've heard that. But especially if you're tempting God with it, we could say, huh?
Their expression only if we had died in wilderness. I don't know how many times they said that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was just repeated.
Because when Red Sea, they said the almost the very same thing. What you bring us all the way out from the comfort of Egypt to let us die at Pharaoh's hand at the edge of the Red Sea.
Yeah. But now back up. What was happening to them in Egypt? They were dying, wasn't it?
They were complaining about that.
Yeah. Some of them were dying. They were being mistreated, abused, and were dying. And God saw this. Well, and He brought them out. Now they're not having to make stones and go gather their straw and all of this like they were in Egypt. As those thing goes, they're not hitting a lick at anything. I guess we paid the deal. And so God is taking care of them. They're not having to work. Wouldn't you think that, hey, this is not bad after all, you know? How soon we forget, huh? How soon they forgot. And it wasn't like they were on starvation. He was feeding them and protecting them from Pharaoh and the Egyptians, right? Okay.
They saw the Egyptians consumed in the Red Sea. And they stood there and watched them die there.
Hmm.
Would have thought they're thankful the Lord saved them and helped them.
He put up with their complaining a number of different times over different things.
Yeah.
He wasn't pleased with it. They put up with it until which time they brought up Egypt. Every time they bring up Egypt, that set him off.
Well, could you blame him? I mean,
This is just for the very reasons you just got to mention it. After he had done it, I can go down to verse 11, it brings it up again.
we're going to get there. Yeah.
Over those matters, and so as a consequence of this, they're going to pay for that. I can fill it with some of the other things, but that's not one thing I'm going to talk about.
We could say, and he's long suffering, isn't he? God is. Otherwise, he would have already come back and cleaned this nation out. It'd been over with, but the wicked things that's going on. You look around and everywhere, all the news, if it's not one thing, it's another. Man's continually getting more wicked. No.
When we were down on one of the church marquees, Church of Christ, it says, Judy got it on her phone, the last time it was this messed up, I sent a flood, God. Oh, that's pretty profound.
Yeah. Last time I said, wow. This time it'll be a fire. And it won't be anything left. It'll be the end. But yeah. Okay. Verse 3, Numbers 14. Wherefore hath the Lord brought us into this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? Wanting to go back. Huh?
So that's the idea behind that is you got two things involved here. Number one, they're second guessing him.
But look what else he had done. He had proved his power and what he could do for them.
But they are presuming just foolish that things were better, and or they have forgotten somehow the way it was and the prices they were made to get at. It's fickleness. People can't be satisfied with anything unless it's for the moment.
Yeah.
We can't
Temporary.
There's no sense of resilience in any of us. If we can't get to the end of the story within 30 minutes, then
Yeah.
I got time to do it,
Yeah.
you know? And that's kind of the way that they were evidently with this, you know, and the plagues took a while. That
Yeah.
didn't happen just overnight, that took a while. And
Well, since you mentioned that, the plagues, they were exempt from them, right? And their families, okay? And they saw all of that going on. Well, the magicians of Egypt didn't bring that down on them. God did. So that was another lesson that they missed somehow. Okay.
You got to sit down and fill your mind with so many other things in order to forget the Red Sea opened the way it did.
Yeah.
You,
Here you-
people just don't live with those kind
No.
of events.
Here you standing. Try to imagine the best that you can that you're standing here on a sea, okay? You're not going to be able to swim across it. All right. And you look back and here comes Pharaoh. I mean, we're just sitting ducks. But this is the end of it. I mean, that would be normal thinking like this. And God again, with his power, opens it up. And they cross. And
Cross on dry land. That's
on dry
what
land.
they're going to.
Yeah.
It could just be
And-
mud.
and the walls of water. Yeah, it was muddy about knee deep, eh? No, it was dry. That's again God's power. And then when they get on the other side and the Egyptian army and all like that, and he closed the waters up. Look, they saw that. Huh? They knew what happened. God had delivered them again.
Here's the inconsistency. If you look at, again, chapter 14, look at verse 3, just look at the term here. They acknowledge that God brought them out.
Mhm.
But
Then they said to fall by the sword.
yeah,
The
to
next
take us out here to kill us, that don't make sense. You know, how do you reason like that? I mean, the reason that brought us out was to save us. To bring us out here to kill us does not make sense. How do you reason?
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, and you think about it, they were not having to deal with any enemies out here. There was nobody after them. There was nobody trying to kill them. They didn't have to work. Their clothes didn't even get old. Their shoes didn't wear out. There's a verse that tells about that, right?
40 years.
Yeah. Well, now some sisters couldn't wear the same outfit for 40 years, I don't think, and the same shoes. But anyway, we won't go there. Back then they could, huh?
When y'all notice in 11, and how long he was talking to Moses, God was, and how long will they not believe me with all the signs which I have performed among them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Had to go over this land. They didn't want to have to do that. I don't think they thought God just wasn't good. With no fence tag, but they were gonna have to take them.
But what did he do when they went to take it? He fought the battles for them.
They didn't let it even try. They just didn't-
Yeah.
It's these events right here, especially that again was in chapter 13 with the spies, and that sort of business, is really one of the turning events in all of this situation in their trek to get to land. Because right at this particular point, they're on the precipice of going in. The spies have already gone in and come back out. They're at the very area of
Right.
getting in. And then you look, all right, you're just at Numbers 14 right here. And it hadn't taken them from the time that they left in the Exodus, the book of Exodus, to get to this point is not that much of a time period. But from this particular point to the time they get in, it's an extended period of time. They spent most of their time right here. And the reason for that is because
Because they're
of all
murmurs.
that rebellion, and God was going to end and getting rid of all of those men
Problems.
that were rebelling. And that's the reason only Joshua and Caleb were able to be able to make it, that they were 20 years old.
Could that be an analogy to the church? You have to do what God says to take the gift.
Well, it says few.
And they don't want to do what God said. They don't want to do anything.
Well, they were presuming, just like the Laodiceans were. Laodiceans, they're the church, they're going to try to find the good, everything is good for us, we're rich and have anything nothing. And make the Lord see it. And you can kind of see this in this same way, except the fact that instead of God being sick, he says, I'm going to smite them up.
Yeah.
So he brought the sickness on them.
All right. Let's go. Somebody read, we're in 14 verse 4 and 5. Now, again, they're just complicating things, aren't they? Let us do what? Get us a captain. And what are you going to do? Go back to Egypt. How you going to cross the Red Sea? Huh? They done forgot about that, hadn't
They didn't see any further than they
Evidently they didn't.
Well, when you take things into your own hands, it usually does mess up.
Yeah. And can you imagine being in Moses and Aaron's face with all of the murmuring and complaining that's been going on? And then, yeah, they fell on their face before the assembly of the congregation, didn't they?
Just wonder why God didn't say, okay, it's going back.
Yeah. Get you a captain and head out. Yeah.
That's what made Aaron and Moses so ashamed.
Yeah.
They were ashamed.
Yeah. Of all that's been done. And it reflected on their leadership too, didn't it? In a way, I know they were men of God and was doing this by God's authority and this, but we put some skin in this game too. I mean, look what we've gone through. Last time I checked, Moses and Aaron didn't volunteer for this, did they? God appeared to them and helped motivate them. And so they're doing it, and he's taking care of the thing, but still they had to deal with the day-to-day going on.
They were ashamed of people.
Yeah.
It's like when you recommend somebody for a job and they let you down and you don't do what you bragged about them doing, it makes you look as bad as well as the other person. You just kind of feel ashamed that you mentioned it.
But notice Joshua, verse 6. The son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. Yeah, it wasn't just Aaron and Moses, but Joshua and Caleb. And they, that's Joshua and Caleb, spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we possess, which we passed through to search it, is an exceeding good land. That was the report they came back to begin with, wasn't it? And here you want to go back to Egypt. We're telling you, if our knowledge or if our credibility, maybe said, is worth anything, it's a good land. Yeah, they did. It was flowing with milk and honey. Okay. Verse 8, if the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord. Don't go there. Neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. Look, if God be for you, who can be against you? You've heard that? If God's on your side or you're on his side, that's the majority. Okay? That's exactly. And so these individuals knew this and said, look, don't rebel against the Lord. He's given us this. But all the congregation bade stone them with stones, and the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle and the congregation. Verse 11. And the Lord said to Moses, how long will this people provoke, American Standard says, despise me? And how long will it be ere they believe me for all the signs which I have showed among them? What part did you not get? Huh? How many more signs am I going to have to produce to show you? All right, let's flip that around now. What's the problem today with people that don't get it? These examples, and it's written so that we can understand it, and it's available, and many hear it, but what? Don't respond to it. Huh?
Well, they don't believe this story.
Okay.
They don't believe the examples that were given are true, valid.
So these people had seen all of these things, and look what they did. You know what?
Anybody pray for Moses? So many times he saved. Begging God not to destroy them.
Yeah.
Did anybody pray for Moses in here?
I don't know. Evidently, they didn't. They just assumed, or just kind of brushed it off. Didn't pay any attention, did they? How long will this people despise me? Verse 12, I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they.
This showed you the weakness of Moses.
Yes.
It's always been that.
Well, when remember the one time when he was like up to here with them when he smote the rock, right? They had just about pushed him over the edge, we could say. You know, we could give us what he did, and he didn't follow that through. But again, it wasn't. He disobeyed God, and was punished because of that. But again, try to put yourself in these people. I mean, you know, and none of you ladies would do this, but you can see on Andy Griffith, this one couple, I don't know, they was out in the country or something, and she just nagged him and nagged him and nagged him, and they'd get in a fight and anyway, but this was just one person. Yeah. Can you imagine a multitude of people all carrying on?
And Moses said at his time, not just dealing with the time of the rock, but on occasion, the Lord has actually threatened to not lead them. And that really upset Moses. I can't handle it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that I can do that. You need to help me get this done.
That's why they got to 70 men, wasn't it? Back this to bring their families and kind of get some order into what was going on. All right, verse 13, and Moses said unto the Lord, then the Egyptians shall hear it. Thou broughtest up this people in thy might among them, and they will tell the inhabitants of this land, for they have heard that thou, Lord, art among this people, that thou, Lord, art seen face to face, and that thy cloud standeth over them, and that thou goest before them by day in the pillar of cloud, and by night in the fire. So what's going to happen? The word will get out, won't it? Yeah. All right. Now, if thou shalt kill all these people as one man, then the nations which have heard the fame of thee will speak, saying, because the Lord's not able to bring this people. So Moses again is gives it, and this was our character in that Moses, verse 17. Now I beseech thee, let the power of my Lord be great, according as thou hast spoken, saying it. The Lord is long suffering, slow to anger, but when he's had enough, and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgressions, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. Pardon, I beseech thee, the iniquity of this people according to the greatness of thy mercy. Again, Moses is giving God the glory, the credit, the honor of what he can do and what he has done. As thou hast forgiven this people from Egypt, even until now. And the Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word. So he answered Moses' prayer, didn't he? But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. And when he goes on, he gets down to, but my servant Caleb, verse 24, because he had another spirit with him, hath followed me fully. Notice that. Him will I bring into the land wherein he went, and his seed shall possess it. And let's see, then let's go to verse 29. Well, verse 28. How long? 27, I'm sorry, 26. I got more than things, sir. We'll get there. Verse 26. And the Lord spake to Moses and Aaron, unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, how long shall I bear with this evil congregation, which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me. Somebody read verse 28 and 29.
Say to them, yes, I live, says the Lord, just as you have spoken in my hearing, so I will do to you. The carcasses of you who have complained against me shall fall in the wilderness. All of you who were numbered according to your entire number from 20 years old and above.
So he's a cleansing, didn't he? You know, you keep pushing, and what happens? Yeah. When you had enough.
I wonder if those people are. Because you just had your death sentence, you know, for all practical purposes. They may live out their time under normal circumstances, but the land that had been promised them, they will never get to see. They will not go into the land. And, so they will die in the wilderness. The carcasses left in the wilderness. So there's not going to be any honor in their death, and not going to be any honor left for them. Their tombs or graves or anything of this nature, they're just going to be another dead carcass in the wilderness.
Yeah.
It's just about all that it amounts to as far as that's concerned, and as far as God is concerned. He has had his field with these people, and so, well, I don't even get
Read verse 31. Read verse 31.
But your little ones, which you said should be afraid, them will I bring you. And they shall know the land which you have despised, but as for you, your carcasses, they'll fall in the wilderness.
There you go. See, what does this tell you about the Lord? He always does what's right. He gave them opportunities over and over again, but there comes a time. What? That's it. I've had it. I'm done with it. You just can't seem to learn. Yeah. Yeah. When he brought the flood. Okay. Sister. Yeah. That wasn't God's fault. He sent the rain. Yeah. Well, I'd be careful of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these people, they God takes care of us, even when we.
That's a profound question. Our preacher, perhaps, can answer. Why did these people continue to disobey God and forget what they did? The catastrophic things that happened before their very eyes.
Man is always from
Yeah.
the beginning.
See what you want.
let's go back to the beginning. If there was ever a couple that had it made, Adam and Eve, the most beautiful garden that you could picture and see, plenty to eat. Yeah. But they just couldn't. Well, they listened to the devil, and that's what happens to them. Basically, when we say these people here, that no, I'm not saying the devil is in them, but he works in these ways among them. He keeps it stirring and keeps them murmuring, and we get somebody that's dissatisfied with something, and what happens? Oh, okay, we'll get us a little group, and we'll go over here and start something, and that's how things go.
Like basically just forgot God. The whole basis of it. I think one of the things that whenever we forget God will basically say, all right, just have at it, like we see in Genesis whenever he. Thing is, back in the time of the patriarch, he talked to the fathers or the families, and they forgot to teach the children. And then it's just a progression. Generation untaught is going to be the next generation will not know God.
What's happening today in America?
Same thing.
Same thing.
The interesting thing about this one is, of course, they had Aaron, and you had the power of God that had been made known on occasion, obviously day by day, with the pillar, the cloud by day, pillar of fire by night, all of these particular things, other matters that he's already shown. In my estimation, to answer the question after that is another typical set of circumstances. You had men like Dathan and others like that stirred the pot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he evidently, in some of those like that, had position or at least some acceptance to some extent while they were in Egypt. And so when you got people like that that kind of stir the pot, we remember how good it was. And when you get back over, I don't remember quite that, but let me just paint a little bit better picture for it. At least you had these things to eat, and they brought that up. You know, we had the cucumbers, we had all of that there, and now all we got is the madness. Somebody is stirring the pot.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when there's those kinds of things that are going on, somebody is.
They collect supporters.
They get the support.
That's it. Yeah. Let's look at verse 41 and before we close tonight. And Moses said, "Wherefore now do ye transgress the commandment of the Lord, but it shall not prosper. Go not up, for the Lord is not among you, that ye be not smitten before your enemies, the Amalekites and the Canaanites." Verse 44, and they presumed to go up unto the hilltop. Nevertheless, the ark of the covenant of the Lord and Moses departed not out of the camp. Then the Amalekites came down, and the Canaanites which dwelt in that hill, and smote them, and discomfited them even to Hormah. So, when you disobey God and leave Him out, it turns bad in a hurry, doesn't it? Or it can.
And it just takes one generation.
Yes.
We've got to teach our youngsters now for the future of the church. Yeah.
All right, we got a couple more next week, and we'll go from there. And then I've got a new paper. There's some interesting ones coming up on this page too. Okay.
383. Just open the door and read.
Good old song. 383. Some of my favorite shows I watch on television, and a lot of them, of course, in History Channel or something. There's nothing but Motor Trend. Some of them. I love old shows that take old things that are rusted up and torn up. You wouldn't think there'd be anything to be done with them, and pull them out of the old junkyards or back of somebody's house if somebody wants them moved. But if somebody sees something in them, you know, there's good bones here, they'll say, something of that nature. You know, the framework itself may not be in good shape, but I think we can handle that. Or they'll just build a new frame and whatever else around that car. And then after a while, sometimes it may take several months, sometimes as much as a year. And then they roll that thing out and it looks better than it did when it came off the showroom floor. And you start looking at the old car itself, and somebody else will look at that. Oh, it's a piece of junk. Just send it on a junkyard. It'd be recycled and be put to use in something else. But somebody sees the beauty of it. At one point in time, the car was new. Came off the showroom floor, is brand new, had that new smell to it and all that sort. And somebody delighted in it to such an extent that they paid good money in order to bring it home. Then it had all of its years of use and all of its years of abuse, all of its years of having endured the sunshine, the rain, the winds, and all this sort of stuff. Or if you lived up north, all the salt that comes up from the bottom side and eats a lot of it out. And so it's had to endure this all this time. But yet still, somebody sees it and says there's hope yet for that, and I'm going to restore that vehicle. Man comes in this world innocent. He goes through a period of time when he begins to learn differences in right and wrong, and then he comes to a point where he realizes accountability. And then from this point, there's an understanding that there's sin involved. So we want to do something to rectify that situation. So what a person does when he learns the truth will obey it. He's baptized into Christ. The blood of Christ cleanses him. Now newborn. And so now here is that new child of God that begins his trek through life. And look what he has to endure. All the punishing concepts that life can throw at him. The temptations of Satan. Then you start seeing the abuses of opposers, those that are going to make fun of them because of what. And then there'll be those that might persecute them. And then there's the problems in health. And then there's the problems in let's say, just everyday life, the problems at the job, and it all wears you down. And it finally comes to a point where the old car, the old body is worn out. It's just like it's paid its price, it's paid its dues, and it's just like it's not going to be able to get through it, none whatsoever. And in fact of the matter is, in some occasions, it may not take long with some. They just break down under the strain. And so they find themselves by their own will, basically, placed upon the heap of unusable, used Christian life that they seen. But yet there's someone that looks at that disturbed and that torn up and messed up Christian life and says there's still hope for that thing right there. And I sent my son to even make it possible for even an old broken down Christian to be renewed again. So we got two things involved, by being one who has obeyed the gospel of Christ and has come into the kingdom as sparkling new. God has done what's necessary in order to make one ready as a child of God. But the life of the Christian is not an easy one, but yet on occasion we find ourselves broken down, and even by sin, even separated ourselves from God, and God still says there's hope for that vehicle.
this vehicle of life, the vehicle of the Spirit here. I've got hope for that. And so he tells us, as he does in 1 John chapter 1, if we confess our sin, he's faithful and just to forgive us our sin and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And Lord, behold, here is where that, after one confesses those faults, repents of those sins, the blood of Christ cleanses them. Here's one that is restored, just like it was when it came out of the factory to begin with. And in some occasions, even better than it was originally made. The blood of Christ is a remarkable thing, isn't it? And what it's able to do for a lot of us that are broken down on occasion, and even though we're still going, it's still what puts the premium gas in us and that good oil and keeps us going when we're well serviced and when we're clean. It looks just like it's supposed to and operates and moves like it's supposed to. But on occasion, we have a tendency to go off and we find ourselves wrecked and rusted and broken down, but still it's the blood of Christ that can bring us back to that restored state. We're here tonight and haven't obeyed the gospel. We've given intimation as to what's involved. And as a child of God that has erred and somehow sinned to reproach him, still the blood of Christ can bring us back and restore us. What we need to do is confess those faults just as he's proclaimed and make us right again with him. If you have that need tonight, we'd encourage you to obey. While we stand, while we sing.
Saints of righteous over in the glory land, and I long to be by my Savior's side, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, I'll join the happy angel band, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, there will the mighty host I'll stand, just over in the glory land. With the blood-washed throne I will shout and sing, just over in the glory land. Glad hosannas to Christ the Lord and King, just over in the glory land. Just over in the glory land, I'll join the happy angel band, just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land. There with the mighty host I'll stand,